Tuesday, April 1st, 2014. I'm Rym.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, why no one will game with you. And no, we're not joking.
Let's do this.
Happy the internet is nothing but lies for 24 hours day.
Unhappy the internet is nothing but lies for 24 hours a day. And you know what? So this year it was better and worse.
Yeah,
at the
there
same
weren't
time.
as Slashdot had some real stuff going on.
Right, no, so it
Fark was actually really clever, and they almost got me.
It was better in that there was actually some fools and less just bullshit. It was better in that there was less bullshit. But it was worse in that a lot of people were starting early, perhaps using time zones as an excuse, forgetting that New York is the only place in the world.
You know, it's funny because in the financial world, that's kind of how it goes. People in the other time zones of the U.S. basically have to keep New York hours anyway.
That's exactly right. You know how when you see on TV like some office and they always have all those clocks on the wall that are like London, New York, whatever? In New York, we have one clock on the wall. New York.
Well, no, you'll have two. You'll have London because you want to know when you can call people in London, but you only
No,
trade
you want to
during
know when
your
they're going to
hours.
call you so you can leave work.
But I gotta say, Fark almost got me. Because I love Fark. I've been reading Fark for a long fucking time, and I kind of realized that today. Because I go to Fark, and I see the headline that's like, Ronald Reagan finally died 10 years after his brain went into Alzheimer's. And I remember, and all I thought was, that already happened. But then there's that slight moment of, right? There's no way he was still alive.
Why would you even have to question that?
No, because the news thing appears. I'm like, oh, Ronald Reagan said. It's like, yeah.
See, now what I would think
So
is,
I immediately
depending
thought,
on how the headline was written, I might not think that the news was he died today, but, something about his
yeah,
death.
so what I thought was,
Like, someone's writing a news article about the past.
So what I thought was, well, okay, there's obviously something else going on here because Fark, that's the point of Fark. The headline is something funny or intriguing, and the article might be something very different. So I click on it, and the article is like, Ronald Reagan died today on legitimate news. And before I thought anything, I noticed Dateline, today's date, 2004. So then I go to the comments, and I see a few people who were gotten by it, and a few other people who were like, wait a minute, that article's way old. And then I realized what was going on. Every link on Fark today was just from 2004.
Okay.
That's all they did.
So 10 years ago, basically.
So you go to every thread, and there's a few people who are some people are like, oh my God, this is a duplicate from 2004. The fuck, Fark, come on. I think that was the second best thing I saw today related to the April of Fools.
But it reminds you, if you really just need some sort of, serotonin fix in your brain, and there's no new news coming in fast enough, just go to news 20 years ago or 10 years ago.
There's Wikipedia pages that do that. They're like, what happened in this year?
Right,
what
but it's
happened
like,
on this day?
Just, go to Reddit and go to like page 1,000 and see what's there, right? There'll be something there.
Yeah, just start reading Fark archives, I guess.
Yeah.
But Dorkly pretty much had it best. They had that video.
Dorkly had the perfectness.
That video is what all your April Fool's jokes look like.
That's exactly right. Homestar Runner updated, which it wasn't really a fool or a thing. It was just
It updated.
they just updated it on April Fool's Day to be
Thing
like,
is, what should have happened is like when Google announced Gmail for real on April Fool's Day. Valve should have announced Half-Life 3 today, like for real.
Exactly.
That would have been it. But no, instead they launched Half-Life 4 and Halo 5.
Oh, well.
So in personal life stuff, we talked about that flying episode, and part of the reason I thought of doing that is that it's really hard to book flights to and from places that aren't New York or London. Like, you want to fly direct to Boston from anywhere? Good luck. And I just last minute booked all these flights to Paris and everything. So if anyone's going to be in Paris
Omelette de fromage.
at Trade Tech Paris
Madame du Barry.
and you want to hang out, I might be kind of bored there. Also,
Boys, you're going to go to France in Paris and be bored? How is that even possible?
Two of those days, Scott, you know how sometimes we go to conventions run by people where we owe them a favor and
Listen,
we're not
if
super
my
excited
company
about going to
sends me-
those conventions?
If my company sends me to a place like that,
You're just not going to go to the convention?
Exactly right. I will go to Le Louvre, or to
So
Aftertower
because we booked at the last second, there weren't any good flights.
or Le Bakery?
I'm actually flying out Saturday, so I'll get to Paris at like 11 a.m. on Sunday. So I got the whole day to just fuck around in Paris. And Monday,
to Versailles.
and I'll be by
Castle.
myself, so I'll probably get some business meetings. But other than those meetings, wander around, fuck around, just like London. And then Tuesday, Wednesday is the conference. My CEO's flying with me, but he's leaving early on Wednesday, so there's no one to supervise me. And I'm flying home Thursday at like 2 p.m., which will get me to PAX Thursday night at like 6 p.m. because of time zones.
Okay.
So I'll have a bunch of days to fuck around in Paris. So a bunch of you tried to meet up with me in London. I'm sorry that didn't happen, but I actually had a lot less time than I thought I'd have.
Why don't you just tell them to meet you at the Eiffel Tower at like 6 or something?
Maybe, but I don't want to be beholden to that schedule. That's my trouble. Part of the reason I didn't meet up with anyone in London
If
is
you're
that,
not beholden to a schedule, you can't meet anyone. That's how it works.
yeah. No, I could be like, yo,
That's
I'm
how
at this,
meeting people works. There needs to be a time.
I'm
and a
at this place right now. I'll be here for the next 2 hours. Go.
How is anyone going to make it there within the 2 hours?
In New York, I think someone would make it.
Yeah, but we have a subway.
Paris has the subway.
Yeah, that's
It's
subway.
way better than London's subway.
Sure, but it is not up to par with the
Well,
New York subway.
no subway in the world is up to par.
Ding, 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 ding.
But yeah, that's what I got. That's what's going on in my life.
Okay.
Though I'm flying home through Reykjavik,
Okay.
but I don't have enough time. Basically what I wanted to do was stop in Reykjavik for like a day and then just
go
fly home.
lay in a volcano
Yeah,
and come back.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But didn't have enough time, so I'm only going to be there for like an hour.
Oh, that doesn't count if you don't leave the airport.
Actually, no, it doesn't. So yeah,
All right.
that's that. I don't have anything else exciting. I'm waiting for you to jump in with some news or something.
Oh, you want to jump in? I got a news, but it's just a baby tiny news. Not a very exciting news. So, Capcom, I guess, is doing something. I guess maybe something.
Capcom.
Yeah, they've been pretty fail for a while now. And since they're not making any new Mega Mans, at least not as far as anyone knows, they're going to do something else. They're just going to re-release some old Mega Mans for the 3DS in the digital download store. So the games they're going to put out are Mega Man 2, 3, 4, 5, and Mega Man Extreme and Extreme 2. And you're probably sitting going like, what the fuck is Mega Man Extreme and Extreme? Wait, what are these? See, in Japan, where the games are real, when they put out Mega Man, well, Rockman, on the Game Boy, they put out Rockman World, which is basically the Game Boy version of Mega Man, right? And in the US, they didn't put that out. They put out Mega Man 2, Game Boy, which was basically Rockman World, ported over,
No.
but they renamed it to basically be the same name as Mega Man 2. So it's like, oh, you get confused. If I say Mega Man 2, you have to be like, are you know which game I'm talking about. But I could be talking about the Game Boy one, which is bullshit.
Yeah?
You should have just called it Mega Man World 2. It wouldn't have been a problem, guys.
It worked for Mario.
Sure. Anyway, so basically Rockman World 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the 2 Game Boy Color Mega Mans are going to come out on the 3DS in the download store. But they're letting you vote on their website which one comes first.
Yeah, whatever.
Who gives a shit? I say it's a baby news. It's like, yeah, it's who cares? You're going to put them all out eventually anyway, and no one's buying any digital downloads of crappy sub-rate Mega Man games when I can just get real Mega Man 2 on my 3DS. Why would
I
I
can
buy
get real Mega Man 2 on my emulator on my phone if I really want.
Exactly. So there is an attachment to this news that is sort of like a PS, which is that Nintendo, also struggling, Japanese game companies struggling, that's a surprise, are putting some...
Oh, I see what you're about to say.
they're putting some GBA titles on the Wii U, right? See, it used to be that the Virtual Console on the Wii and Wii U only had console games. So you would get NES, SNES, right? GameCube, N64 games. Well, not GameCube, N64 games in your Virtual Console on your Wii and your Wii U. And then on your Virtual Console on your 3DS, right, you would get portable games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games, right? So for the first time here, they are going to release portable games, Game Boy Advance games, on the Wii U Virtual Console. I wish they would also do NES and SNES games on the 3DS Virtual Console, but, what you going to do?
eventually go out of business.
Sure. Anyway, the first 8 games have been announced, and all that matters is that one of them is Advance Wars.
Yeah, except I already own Advance Wars.
Obviously, but if you don't have GBA Advance Wars and you don't have a piracy card and you don't know how to make it work and et cetera, you can now legally get Advance Wars for your 3DS, at least starting pretty soon.
So part of the trouble is that a game like Advance Wars,
Also Golden Sun.
probably not the most fun game to play on your Wii U.
No, not really.
I played a lot of my Advance Wars like on buses and on trains.
Yeah.
Also, Advance Wars 1 is not like the other Advance Wars. I don't think most people who even profess to like more recent Advance Wars will actually like the GBA Advance Wars 1.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So Nintendo continuing to go. Woo.
Yep. So Nintendo allowed at least one relatively cool thing to happen. So before April Fool's Day, yesterday, I had to go take care of some business. So I take the subway out of work and I go downtown, like further downtown. There's not much downtown left. And I'm looking at a map to figure out like, oh, where's this place I'm going? What's this address? And I see this dot, like this weird thing on my Google Maps. And I zoom in on it and it's a Lucario from Pokemon just hanging out. I'm like, what?
And this wasn't April Fool's Day yet. This is the timing bullshit
I actually
was talking about.
hit back to look and make sure it wasn't April Fool's Day.
That's right.
I was like, nope, it's not. So I went back in, I click on him, and I saw an option to catch him, saw an option for a Pokedex, and for a split second, I thought that maybe Nintendo decided to not be a fuck-up. That maybe the stars are going to align, and this was the first salvo of the world-ending MMO of Pokemon.
That's right.
But no, basically it's just a scavenger hunt. It's kind of dumb. Effectively, what happens is on your phone and only on your phone, it doesn't work on like a computer. If you zoom in far enough onto Google Maps, you might see a Pokemon. And if you click on him, you catch him. That's literally it. Good luck. Have a whole bunch of fun scrolling through Google Maps, very much zoomed in. Also, most of the Pokemon are in real cities.
Well, I think they put them in, if you notice, right, all the Pokemon regions in the real Pokemon games are based on certain cities. So, like, the newest one is based on Paris, you know, with the Eiffel Tower in the middle of it, right? And the Pokemon Black is based on New York. It's got, you know, the Manhattan Island in the middle. With
I found, like, a Snorlax and an Eevee.
Right. So, most of the Pokemon, I've been told, are in those actual Pokemon regions, right? That, you know, on the real world. So if you want to, you know, if you come to New York, it's like there was a Pokemon region that's New York. So there's Pokemon there. Paris, there's Pokemon there, right? You know, Tokyo, there's Pokemon there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's cool in theory, but it's basically just completely dumb. It's a marketing thing. It's one of those obsessive, boring things to do when you're sitting with your smartphone at work, not actually doing work. It's not actually a game in any sense that is meaningful. I wish this was actually a game. Imagine if, I don't know, because I reviewed Ingress, that augmented reality game that's on Android that's not super fun, basically just a candy box. But it has a pretty good UX. If they took that basic UX of there's Pokemon and other trainers and places in the real world and just made that Pokemon, that would literally be the greatest game ever. Like, I can actually see exactly how you should do it. It's that UX coupled with the Google Maps integration and just Pokemon. Straight up. If I'm near you and I see you, we can just have a Pokemon battle right there live. No takebacks, no saving, no nothing. And just candy box it up then, because as much as I think candy boxes are stupid, if the candy boxes were a canonical Pokemon, I might have to open up the box, get some candy bars, touch that guy's hat.
Hey, you know where any other Pokemon are besides, ooh, what's that?
Are you looking for Pokemon right now?
Salamence, what the fuck is that?
Really? Really?
You don't even know what the fuck that is.
You don't know new Pokemon, do you?
I've never seen that Pokemon in my life. Are you sure it's not a Digimon? I'm pretty sure that's...
You probably just offended a whole bunch of our Pokemon fans.
That's got to be a Digimon.
So as another much smaller aside, there's an article on Polygon That's actually about our good friend Conrad Kreyling.
Who's been on this show before.
He has been on Geeknights multiple times, usually really mad about phones. He worked at Muse Games for many years with Emily and Alex, our other friends. We went to RIT with him. He was this young, spry
He
freshman.
went to RIT with us.
Yes, who dressed up as Safety Cone that itself was dressed up as Naruto. And yeah, there's an article about him.
Barrel.
A barrel of sorts, a safety
Go
barrel
and post
cone.
the safety barrel picture on that article.
Oh, did they?
No, you should.
I should. Are there any comments? There are some comments. It's a picture of Kanye Conrad.
There you go.
Oh, people are posting pictures of him from Johnny Wander.
There you go.
So yeah, it's a cool article about a cool company and a cool person. And other cool people, but this is the one that we know directly who's been on Geeknights, who you probably have also heard of because he's been on Geeknights. Oh, and the article's written by Michael Moore, someone cool who we also all know, and you probably might know, especially if
We
you're...
know people who do cool things. Oh my God. You know what? If you live in New York City, you will know people who do cool things.
I'm pretty sure that if you live in New York and you do cool things, you literally know every other person who does similar things in the city.
Nerds know other nerds.
I mean, there's when an anime movie happens, like some anime movie is just being screened, pretty much everyone who shows up is someone that I know, either because of things like this or because they go to every other anime screening.
Yeah, that's how it works. Let's see, any Pokemon in Astoria?
I didn't find any in Queens, I don't think.
Maybe there's one at the baseball stadium.
I'll bet not. I'll bet Manhattan only. But anyway, things of the day.
Pokemon are not Mets fans.
Uh,
Oh, that's right. They're Mariners fans, which Nintendo owns. Of course. Of course.
So I try not to do this often, but this is a marching band video, but it's pretty impressive.
Oh, you and your marching band.
So when I was in high school, and middle school, I actually kind of seriously wanted to make my career around marching bands and music.
Who has that career?
Some people have that career.
Almost nobody. You know what? You know what the most common career you can get is for that?
Teacher.
High school band teacher. You know what high school band teacher's job is like?
I know exactly.
How would you like being a high school band teacher right now?
Mostly what I wanted to do was my primary career. I was thinking about going into the conservatory, being a professional horn player. And then on the side, I wanted to be involved in marching stuff because I'm just really into that. I've always been super into that. So what I have for you is a video of the group that I saw marching that inspired me to be really into that and to get really into like the choreography and just like how you actually put these things together, like the technical side of marching band performances and shows. This is the Phantom Regiment performing Elsa's Procession to the Cathedral.
Okay.
It's pretty great. You got a thing of the day?
Oh, I do have a thing today. So here's this really cute little flash game called Lamp and Vamp, right? And basically, it's a little turn-based strategy kind of game. And once you figure out how it works, you really just keep playing it. So you're a little cute vampire guy, right? And it's a hex map. And every turn, you move one space. But you can't really move through the houses or through the trees. You just move a space. And you're in the darkness because you're a vampire. And you're trying to get into your coffin because that's where vampires belong. And there's people walking around town with torches trying to burn your ass and stake you and shit because they don't like vampires eating their kids and their wives and themselves. So you have to make it there without getting seen. You know, they all have the little flashlights that they're, lighting up the street with. So you want to hide so you don't get seen. They keep moving, though, so it's very hard. You got to predict where they're going to be, where they're going to shine their light, right? And there isn't always an option. It's like they'll just trap you, and it's not simple to just avoid them.
Oh, I totally ate that guy.
Right. It's not simple to do. You'd think this would be just like those Zelda games where you avoid the Kniggets that are, the parts where like the Kniggets in the bush in the hedge maze.
Yep.
Right? It's not that simple. But you get some special vampire powers. But using your special vampire powers costs you life, your hearts. Drinking blood and doing other things can get you hearts back. Getting shot and holy watered makes you lose hearts. So basically, you just keep going level after level after level, and the game isn't over till you lose your 100 hearts completely. So it's all about, it's like I can beat this level with only spending 10 hearts. That's a pretty good deal, right? But, another level, you need to gain 10 hearts. Otherwise, in the long run, if you keep doing that, you're eventually on your way to losing. So pretty interesting game that has both the short-term puzzle solving and also the long-term resource management. It's good when you're at work and you're bored. Much better than finding Pokemon on Google Maps.
I'm playing it right now. It's super fun. I totally just bit that guy again.
Bite.
Oh, yeah. But I'm killing him. Yeah, he's dead. Killing that other guy, too, because he just walked up and didn't notice.
Yep.
Yeah. Killing all these guys. Oh, that fucker saw me. Fuck. Okay.
You're going down.
In the meta moment, the book club book is Wool. We both finished it. Do a show on it on Thursday. It was all right. It's worth reading.
Tight.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it way more than I liked Captain Fedora's penis adventure through the sex goddess lands of the Kung Fu sex masters.
I liked it more than Ready Player One.
I still got to read Ready Player One.
Why do you have to?
So I can shit all over it, apparently.
Well, I mean, it's better than Captain Penis Nice Guy, but it's basically Captain Woo Game 80s nerdery.
Yeah, I don't know if I can deal with that. I enjoy after references. I'm increasingly tired of very crass cash grab. Hey, you remember Mario? I too remember Mario.
This is more like, do you remember Tomb of Horrors and Pac-Man?
With their powers combined, you can be really insufferable to the people around you.
Sure.
We're going to be at the Penny Arcade Expo
East.
Not this weekend, but next weekend.
Whoa.
It's in Boston.
PAX is just all the time now. It's like I was just at a PAX, and look at this, another PAX.
Yeah, and then I got another PAX in October, and then I got a PAX right before that in September.
PAX is everywhere.
Yeah, lots of PAXs.
Look at all these PAXs.
We just keep going to them. Not much else to say there. We're doing a panel called Why No One Will Game With You. And if you're not already attending PAX, it's way too late to arrange attending PAX.
I know, right?
And unlike PAX Prime, where you could have a pretty fun time being at PAX Prime without a badge and not doing any PAX stuff, not the same case for PAX East. If you don't have a badge, don't go anywhere near Boston.
Just stay home.
Yeah.
Unlike PAX East, which you can't get into unless you're already in, right? There is something you can do next weekend, the weekend before PAX. The Mocha Festival's happening in New York City. It seems to have gone ever so slightly downhill year after year, but it's, if you're that close to it as we are, why not hop on the subway and go look at an independent comic show for an hour or a few? Yeah,
we'll totally be there, probably Saturday in the morning.
Yeah, probably Saturday morning when it opens.
Get there when it opens.
Also have a Netrunner tournament on Sunday, so definitely Saturday.
Yep. I'm also definitely, I used to spend a lot more time at Mocha, but nowadays I kind of want to be in, look at everything once, buy everything I wanted to buy, and then get the fuck out.
That's what my plan is, and then eat an awesome lunch nearby, and then go home.
Are your parents coming?
No.
So we can eat somewhere good?
Yeah.
we don't have to cater to the whims of mom who's picky?
No. We can eat at the most exotic country restaurant. I don't know.
I'll be kind of feeling a burger.
An ostrich burger?
We're also going to be at a convention called ZenkaiCon. It's April 25th, 26th, 27th.
It's an anime con.
We'll be doing
mostly
3 lectures there, I believe, on Saturday and Sunday only. I don't think the schedule's public, so show up and look for us on the schedule. I think we're doing anime openers from around the world.
You can just find the 3 panels that aren't Homestuck panels or Hitalia panels, and you'll be all set.
I do have the schedule, but I think I would get in trouble with Skojo if I just published it.
Because it's probably not 100% true.
Yeah.
It's probably been much, much changed since the copy that you have.
Yeah. So, we've talked about aspects of this multiple times on Geeknights over the years, but usually as an aside or focusing really, really tightly on one tiny aspect of the greater picture of why it's so fucking hard to find people to play games.
Yeah, well, I mean, we decided to do a PAX panel on this, and then we couldn't come up with an idea for today's show, and it's like, hey, let's kill like 100 birds with one stone. We'll sort of work through this panel that we've developing. Literally no one who is listening to this is going to not go to the panel at actual PAX because we made this episode. 99.9% of the people listening to this aren't even going to PAX.
Plus, the kinds of things I'll say on Geeknights might be slightly different from the kinds of things I'll say at a convention at which I'm a guest, where there's a lot of video recorders and a lot of people physically in the room with me.
Sure.
I mean, well, that guy is going to be in the audience. I guarantee it.
Also, people who might go and see us at the convention and discover us might come and listen to this episode because they, people always look for videos of panels we did, even though they saw the panel. So, hey, there's a podcast already on the website before the panel even happened. Maybe someone will come back and be like, listen to it to remember what we said.
The other interesting thing is you guys will kind of get this insight if you see the panel and listen to this into kind of after we've put a panel together. I hate saying panel. After we put a lecture like this together, the way we talk to each other about like the finer points of what we're actually going to say and how we'll like discard some ideas, or we decide that, we were actually wrong about this thing we thought was part of our point. Let's remove it now that we've talked about it at length.
Right. Okay, so the the lecture is called Why No One Will Game With You because that's really provocative. But really what it's about is how even though there's a bajillion billions of gamers on Earth spending billions of hours on games, very, very few of those actual people are people that any individual person can game with, right? So I looked up some numbers, right? Population of Earth is like 7-8 billion people, right? Number of those people who play games, it's like pretty much almost anyone in a developed country that has any sort of technology is playing some kind of game. Even people, everyone's playing soccer somewhere, pretty much, right? Settlers of Catan has sold 15 million copies in the U.S. That's a lot of copies. I don't think that counts the European copies.
No.
That's a lot of Settlers is out there, right?
That definitely is.
That's a ton, right? So with 15 million Settlers is copies in the U.S. in 50 states, assuming they're distributed like evenly per capita, and you don't live in the complete sticks, there's someone near you who has a copy of Settlers besides you that you can play Settlers with at least, right?
And that's also a pretty niche number. I mean, Settlers already assumes you've somehow gotten down the road of German/Euro games.
Right. So it's like it's even more dense than that, right? And that doesn't count people who, maybe play, Munchkin might be more than Settlers, right? There might, Magic the Gathering might be more than that. So anyway, so with all those games out there, with games being so popular, how come there is still so much LFG, right? You go to PAX, a huge gaming convention. People who are at PAX are LFG. You go on the internet, you think the internet would have solved all our LFG problems. You go on the internet, you find people who are LFG, looking for a game.
Now, on one hand, of course, the LFG is just a service because part of the whole reason you go to a convention is to meet strangers who you wouldn't otherwise meet who have similar interests, find someone to play a game with. But yet, despite the LFG space, I see a lot of people walking around solo with the game, trying to muster up someone to play it, trying to get someone to play with them, trying to get someone to join their group.
Mm-hmm. So why is it that at conventions and also not at conventions, video games and non-video games, right, with so many gamers and games of all kinds being so popular, are people still struggling to find someone else to game with?
Why does every forum have the looking for a gaming group thread that's always forever and super long?
Right.
Usually filled with drama.
Yep. So it's like you go to the forums on Board Game Geek for like Netrunner, which has got a very active community online, and you see threads constantly. Any players in my area? Cricket, anyone but nope.
Role-playing games are probably the biggest offender here.
Biggest.
I mean, not only is everyone desperate to find a gaming group, but they need to form a group. They need to form like a regular group of people who are they're going to share a lot of time with playing these games. And you'd think if so many people are into D&D, I mean, look at PAX. The line to play like D&D 5th edition is like ridiculous joke of a line. It's
I hear
so
they're not
long.
doing it this time. Anyway.
Last year,
Yeah.
it was so long.
Yeah, anyway, so reason number one, take that huge group, right? That big old circle and the big old pie that consists of all gamers on Earth. And the number one thing that is going to remove that pie from the ability for you to eat it is just geography, right? Most of those people do not live anywhere near you. It's like you play, I don't know, Monopoly. Okay, you'll find someone near you to play Monopoly, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, your parents, your kids,
Sure.
the neighbor kids.
You're into Race for the Galaxy. How many people physically near you, wherever you live, play Race for the Galaxy? If you live in a city like New York, okay, you'll find someone, right? you live in even my hometown, Trumbull, in the suburbs of Connecticut, right? An hour away by car. Good luck finding
Well,
someone.
remember, we lived in Beacon.
You're gonna have to take a car. If I lived with my parents and I wanted to find people to game with, I would have to get in a car and drive at least a half hour to an hour to get to a place where people might be playing games.
We used to live in Beacon, New York, and there was, the City of Beacon website is down.
Okay.
I went to look how many people are there. So it's got a population of like 15,000. It's in the orbit of New York City. A lot of people like us used to live there or do live there and commute down. Scott and I were looking for
There
gamers.
are definitely nerds there.
Yeah.
Of different kinds, for
The
sure.
nearest gaming store was like a half-hour drive north in Poughkeepsie. And at that gaming store, there was one gaming club that consisted of a very small number of kind of sad older gamers that was not expanding or growing in any way, most of whom did not want to play the kinds of games we wanted to play.
And there were a few gamers at that college nearby. And that was pretty much it.
Yup.
And the college was also up near that same gaming store. So geography is a big problem for tabletop games, but what about video games? You think internet should solve all these geography problems? I can just play with anyone in the whole world, games, and it'll be no problem. Well, that's true for some video games, mostly the asynchronous ones, right? Like play-by-mail situations.
Yeah,
I can
some
play
Pitball Civ 5.
Right. But that's not the kind of thing that can really, it's like those games are great, but that's not the kind of thing you can sit down and play for hours, right? That's only the kind of thing that you can, sort of occupy random moments throughout your day. You're not going to, my friend in Finland isn't going to sit down for 3 hours at the same time as me to play the game turn by turn. Why? Time zones.
Nope.
Time zones. I'm limited to people in my longitude, right? Or pretty close to my longitude in terms of that kind of gaming. Right? Something that can actually occupy a good chunk of time has to be people nearby. Even just from New York to California causes significant problems in the time difference.
And not just latency, but latency is the most obvious example of it, but just reliability. Do you know how many times I've tried to play a game of Civ 5 with someone who's overseas? Where latency, we don't care. We've sorted out the time zone thing, and the game just fucking stops working occasionally because of bad network connections.
Right. It's, the internet, while...
Or because Scott Johnson
Right.
is hosting
But,
the game
yeah,
and his
the-
computer locks up.
The internet, right, for an asynchronous game, technologically isn't going to give you a problem. The time zone gives you a problem. But for technology-wise, the latency prevents you from playing any kind of real-time game, any kind of Counter-Strike, any kind of fighting game, anything that's real-time. And even things that aren't real-time, you still need the connection to be very reliable so it doesn't disconnect. And when you're farther away from someone and their internet is garbage and the U.S. internet is garbage, that's just, you can't. So you're still looking for game. You can't find the game because you have to basically subtract from the pie all the people who are far away from you. Oh, and by the way, maybe you do find someone who is in your longitude. They don't speak the same language as you.
Not as much of a concern for us in the North Am.
No, but, this can be a serious problem for other people. Like, what if you live in Arizona and there's just these tons of Mexican gamers? You just can't play with them because
Well, actually,
you don't
what's
speak
funny,
Spanish.
it depends on the game. One of the things Board Game Geek does, and a lot of Eurogamers do, is one of the statistics about a board game is how language dependent it is.
Mm-hmm.
Either because you might play it with people who don't speak the same language, or the rules themselves, like the game itself, you may or may not need to know the language the game was published in to be able to play it.
Yep.
Like Settlers, there's not a lot of words. You can play that.
But what if you had to bargain with someone?
But you could still, you've got the icons alone could be sufficient to get your point across.
Yeah.
Or like Counter-Strike, I would regularly in Beacon play Counter-Strike with all these Quebecois people.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd all speak French. We weren't able to communicate with each other effectively except via the radio commands, because if I said something, they didn't really understand me and vice versa. Or if they did understand me, they pretended they didn't. So some games, like a game that doesn't require a heavy amount of team coordination, that is otherwise versus or lone wolf in some way, you can play just fine. But games like that, like Counter-Strike, unless you're playing for the purposes of that group, that community, that thing that people are always saying they want in these forum threads, then it doesn't work. Those people you're playing against might as well be advanced AIs.
And Europeans can have a lot of trouble with this as well. Also, Australians might have a lot of other Pacific countries to play with, right? But it's like if you don't speak Chinese or who knows what, language, right? Or maybe if you live in like Southeast Asia, right? You live in Thailand, you speak Thai, you can play with Thai people, right? But you're going to have all these, people who speak, some kind of Chinese that are near you, but you can't game with them if you don't speak that language, right?
So thus already we come down to the sort of side point that I hadn't really thought about with these slides before, that it really depends on the kind of game and what you're looking for. Because if you're just looking for bodies to play a game, like I'm playing Counter-Strike, I want humans to be playing with me, but we're all reasonably good at the game. Bots, like good bots would probably be fine, as would pretty much any humans who are good at the game. But I'm not going to form lasting friendships. I'll play with whoever's online at the time. I'll click on the matchmaking. Constantly clicking on matchmaking will very rarely net you a group with which to have a long-term or meaningful gaming group.
The point is that whatever kind of game you're playing, it doesn't matter. Geography is going to limit the number of people that you can play with in some dramatic way, more dramatic than any other factor, right? So that's reason number one. There's billions of people on Earth playing games. Over 90% of them are eliminated just because they don't live near you, right? Okay, so what other kind of problems, right, besides geography will sort of reduce the number of people that you can game with, right? Well, the people themselves, obviously, right? I found someone near me who also self-identifies as gamer. That is incredibly broad. I play tabletop Euro games, and they play StarCraft.
This is where you start to see already that sort of, the idea of the fake gamer. A lot of people, that person's just a fake. Same thing in comic books. Oh, they're a fake geek. They're not a real geek. They're not a real gamer. They don't play Counter-Strike 1.6 only.
If someone doesn't play the same game as you, or doesn't want to play the same game you want to play, then you're not going to be able to play games together unless someone changes their mind.
So you have this shared culture of gamer, but you don't have a shared culture of game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the tagline for that bit right there.
I mean, like, look,
shared culture. I'm adding that to the slide.
Yeah. It's like you have to be playing not only the same. I mean, what if it's even the same genre? I'm a StarCraft. I'm a Street Fighter guy. And who do you meet on the street? You met a Marvel vs. Capcom guy. Well, I guess you're not playing any fighting games together because, right? I mean, sure, fighting game people tend to play more than one fighting game, right? So
But they're not going to play Settlers with me.
That's maybe not, or maybe they will. But people like us have a broad variety of games we play, right? But they're only going to get heavily involved in a few games. And if you're looking for just a single game, you're looking for long-lasting game, like some sort of regular gaming deal. You're going to need to find people who are very, very compatible in terms of what games they play, not down just to the genre of game. I'm an RTS player looking for RTS players. Not just I play Dota and they play League of Legends. Nope, we got to get all on the same page here. It has to be the same game, right? But they had to be the same kind of gamer. So I play League of Legends, you play League of Legends. All right, this is going to work out, isn't it? No, because I play it hardcore to win, like I'm trying to be pro, and you're just playing it like la 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 la.
Remember when Heroes of New Earth came out, and we did a show on this about how that was literally the most toxic gaming community I had ever encountered in my life up to that point. I'm someone who's played a lot of fucking Counter-Strike.
Right.
And the reason for that was simple. Half the people playing were new to the genre, not good at the genre, wanting to play this game, wanting to enjoy it. They were playing mostly for fun. They were trying to win, but they weren't super serious about it. The other half of the people literally wanted to win at all costs. That was the only reason they were even clicking, is that ranking.
Mm-hmm.
So those two kinds of people cannot coexist on the same server. They cannot coexist in the same game. If I'm playing El Grande to win, and you're playing because you like the color yellow and you want to have the most yellow cubes on the board, we're not going to have a good time.
No. Another problem is that a lot of times the game you want to play is a dead game, right?
Tribes 2. I think here we tell the sad story of Tribes 2.
Right.
Oh, I'll tell the full anecdote of Nidhogg.
Sure.
That's recent.
Right. The point is, though, it's like you might differ on what genre you want to play. You might differ on what game you want to play. You also might want to play a game that is a dead game, right? So really now we're really limited in who's left to play games with, right?
I literally chased every single human being out of the matchmaking system on Nidhogg on multiple occasions, and now there's never anyone there.
Right. Well, that's the air hockey problem we've talked about many times, right? Is let's say you get really good at Street Fighter, and you have friends who do also want to play Street Fighter, and you all want to play to win. You all have the same attitude about the game. It's looking good. It's looking good here. But you're just way better than them because you've played it more, and they just lose to you, and now they don't like to play against you.
We saw this so quickly with Nidhogg. Scott and I both got the game at the same time. We're like, oh, let's stream us playing it together. I played it for like 6 hours the night before we actually played against each other.
I did not play it at all.
As a result, I was literally invincible.
Yep.
It was just, I win, I win, I win, I win, I win, I win.
It's like, I might really like playing basketball and be kind of good at it, but playing against Michael Jordan would be boring as fuck because he'd just be like, dunk over your head, and dunk over your head, and steal the ball and dunk over your head, and steal
now,
the ball
some
and dunk over your head.
people, don't get us wrong, some people can really enjoy the teaching game. Like, I'm super good at Settlers.
You're not going to learn anything if you don't even get to handle the ball. You just constantly steals and dunks.
Yeah.
What can I learn from that? Nothing.
But I'm
Because I
saying,
would never be able to in the time that we were there playing.
No, but I'm saying I don't enjoy playing Settlers of Catan as a game.
No.
But I do enjoy playing it as a tool to teach other people how to be good at games. I will play in a game of Settlers, and I won't be playing. I'll be playing to win. Like, I'll win in the end just because I don't like losing.
Pride.
But I won't play hardcore to win. I'll give people a lot of advice. I'll make a mistake and then say, so notice how I traded that wood there? I really shouldn't have done that. Now he's ahead by a point. He wouldn't have had before. I didn't really need that wood. What did it get me? I'll do things like that. And I enjoyed that experience, but already, we always talk about game theory. I have a different utility. I'm not playing to win the game. I'm the teacher playing with a bunch of students.
Sure. But that's not a long-term game. But if your skill level of games is generally higher, right? You need to find people, if you want long-term gaming, you need to find people at the same skill level, right?
Yeah.
Or at least relatively the same skill level as you, or building their skills from the low level quickly up to the high level so that it's enjoyable for you to play with them and them to play with you.
This is something that it's not just that it prevents you, like if I'm super good at air hockey, I'll never even get to play air hockey with anyone. Or maybe I'll get one game with every individual human once.
Yep.
And then they'll never play with me again. But this is the thing that, say you finally formed a gaming group. You got your 8 friends together. You all got really into Super Street Fighter 2, whatever. Mm-hmm. So you're all playing. You have this sort of like some of you are better, some of you than worse. But as soon as one person practices a little bit and gets the air hockey up just a little bit, the gaming group gets destroyed overnight.
Yep.
You destroy the rare functional gaming group you have just by getting better than your friends.
Mm-hmm. And then what ends up happening is you have to move into the competitive community and find those other high-level peoples. But they're probably better than you. So now what do you do?
Yep, now you're stuck in the limbo.
You either go by yourself into your bedroom and level yourself the fuck up so you can be a competitive champion, or you stop playing that game.
Like, look, Scott and I, crazy fucking good at air hockey. Anyone we know, most people in New York, we'll just beat them, hands down. But if we go to an air hockey tournament, like the national championships,
we'll just get smoked.
They would probably
we would not even score a
kill
goal.
us.
Yeah. The puck would fly and break our hand.
But there's no one in between those two levels for us to play except each other. Yep. Unless someone else wants to be that kind of gamer with us. We've had a lot of luck in getting people to be that kind of gamer with us in air hockey.
So, none at all.
0.
Right. Another thing that is sad but true is that a difference of money, right, in economic well-being, financial well-being, does separate gamers, right? It's just the reality of the world. It sucks, but it's there. I found someone near me. We're going to play PC games. They can't afford a PC gaming rig that's good enough to play the game. They just can't, right? I've met a lot of people online. They're just like, my computer sucks. I can't play that game with you because my video card's no good.
Or even, what about the people who just, like, we're all at PAX. A lot of people can't afford to come to PAX.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't live near PAX, don't have the money to go to PAX.
Anyone who can afford to go to a convention is either lucky the convention is near their home, right? Lucky to even get a badge if they have the money, or lucky that they are well off money-wise, that they can afford the hotel and travel and et cetera, right? So we said there's bajillions of gamers. Only a lucky, very small percentage can go to any kind of gaming convention, especially a big one like PAX.
Yep, and I'll say from my many years of going to PAX Prime and PAX East and a lot of other conventions,
or even a Gen Con or anything else,
it is obvious that the average demographic of the people who go to PAX Prime in Seattle is way more affluent than the people who attend most other gaming type conventions or other fan conventions. That's just how it is. So
it's not that PAX is like discriminating. We don't like poor people get out.
In fact, they actually do everything they can to give everyone a fair shot.
They try to, they don't sell VIP badges like other cons. They don't charge for individual events like other cons, right? They try to do everything to be as, equal as possible. Money cannot get you privileges once you're at PAX, but you still need to be privileged with enough money to get over the bar to get into PAX.
And this, I think, is why this problem of looking for games seems so apparent primarily in small towns and on internet communities. Because the people who aren't complaining are the people who go to a million conventions and they get their gaming fix. Here at PAX, I keep saying here, we're sitting in Queens.
Right.
I have my pick. I can play a lot of games with strangers that I cannot play in my daily life, even in New York City.
Right.
And I go to, 4 or so PAXs a year, never mind all the other gaming cons I go to. So every month or two, I'm at a convention for an entire weekend playing as many fucking games as I can.
Yep.
Eclipse at 3 in the morning and then start another game as soon as we finish the first one.
Few gamers are as lucky as that.
So everyone in this room, already, you have a huge advantage over almost every other gamer.
And it's not just PC games and conventions. What if you want to play Magic the Gathering? That shit is expensive. What if you want to play Warhammer? That shit is double expensive, right? It's like some games, no matter how badly you want to play them, are expensive as games, and you can't play them unless you have mad monies, right? They're only, even a cheaper game, right? Like Puerto Rico, it's $40 for a copy of Puerto Rico. That's not a
$40 if you're lucky. I paid $90 for a copy of La Chita. I got it on sale. It's way more expensive now.
Well, that was
so
an out of
print.
print game.
Yes, I played that fucking game once.
Right. And it's like, okay, you're into board games. I mean, $40, that's like you buy one game. Usually you need a board game library if you want to play board games regularly. You'll get bored playing Settlers over and over and over and over again, right? Board game library, suddenly we're into the area of hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It's like you can't game if you don't have enough
This
money.
also, I think, because, I don't want to stress it a lot because we're talking about the reality of like these sort of objective, hard reasons why this is so hard. But there's a lot of drama in the communities around people trying to form gaming groups. A lot of like, oh, I don't want to play with that guy. Oh, I got to go to so-and-so's house. I don't want to really play Race for the Galaxy, but that's all Joey Jojo will play, and he's the one who owns all the games. What I see in a lot of gaming communities is that there's a few linchpin people who, for whatever reason, either because they're rich or because like board games or video games are their thing, that they buy everything to the exclusion of other things. There's the few people who have all the games. So the gaming groups that do form in those areas form around those people, which is great if you're friends with those people or you can be friends with those people. But it causes drama when you don't like the people who own the games. You'd like to play the games with the other people, but the other people also don't own the games.
Right. Well, here's the thing.
It adds this weird power dynamic.
Well, it depends, right? It shows people's priorities, right? Like you might know some people who play games. Games aren't their number one thing in life, but they play some games. And they will go and game with that guy who owns all the crazy games. They'll go to his house or her house once in a while, play some games, but it's not their major thing. They're not so hooked on games. It's sort of like, a nice aside for them, right? I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't play a game once in a while, right? But since it's not their primary thing, they're not LFG. They're not going on the internet looking for that thread saying who's playing this game in this area.
They'll show up at a convention and binge for 3 days on games.
Well, they even go to a convention. It's like such a low priority for them gaming. They're so, it's such.
Look at a lot of
it's so less important than their family, their job, and their other hobbies. But they do it once in a while. But you cannot find this person. You cannot get them to regularly commit to spending a lot of time playing games with you. That's just not a thing that they're interested in. So even though they're a gamer, right, they're part of the pie of potential people to game with. They're just not into it as much. Right? As much as you are, who wants to game, weekly or twice monthly or whatever.
Now, there is already, and we'll talk more at the end, I think, about ways to mitigate these issues. The way around that problem is that if you're committed to it, you have to be that person who has a lot of the games, and you have to be the one who does all this work to organize game nights to where you need like a 10-to-1 ratio. You need 10 people who like games for every one average person you'll get to attend your game night to play a game.
Yep.
So if you know 40 people who kind of like games, then you can reliably get 4 of them to show up once a week and play Settlers with you.
Sure. Another thing that's kind of small but significant, right, is the age of the gamers, right? Now, you shouldn't, nobody's discriminating, at least no one that I know is discriminating in terms of, race, creed, gender, whatever, in terms of who they're gaming with. They just want someone who's going to play the game, and they don't give a shit what color, height, or whatever they are. But age can matter a lot. If you are into the Pokemon trading card game...
And you show up at some elementary school tournament...
Right, if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is perfectly okay for anyone to be into Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to be, right? You can show up at a tournament at a game store and play against, 10-year-olds, and I guess that's okay. A little bit okay. But you can't be hanging out with them at like a meetup. You can't be having them over your house. You can't really be befriending them when you're a 30, 40-year-old person. That is just kind of not cool and has a lot of issues.
Well, even if it is 100% cool, it doesn't matter because, guys, we live in a society where appearances matter, or at least appearances affect you.
Right.
If you show up at an elementary school Pokemon meetup and you're 40...
It's not going to work. It goes the other way, too. You're a nerdy kid in high school. There's 2 other nerdy kids in your high school that you do stuff with, but you need more. The only other nerds in town are like these old dudes who game at the game shop. You can't really get mixed up with them. That's not going to work out, right? Because it just isn't.
Even though that sort of like mentor-novice relationship seems to have been a very common way people got into role-playing games. For many, many years. I mean, I would go to conventions like Michicon when I was in late middle school, even mid-middle school, and I'd show up and I'd join a D&D game, and most other people in that game were 30, 40, 50. And it worked totally fine.
Yeah.
But again, at a convention.
Right.
Not like going to their house.
If you have a significant difference of age with the people that you can find, there are only certain situations where it will be socially appropriate to game with them. And most of the time it won't be.
And even if you ignore the social thing, or the social thing is fine. I mean, a lot of times it can be fine. Like parents meet, and then the parents and kids of multiple families all play games together. Or maybe
it's your friend's dad. You're in high school, and you have a friend in high school, and his dad is the crazy gamer guy. It's like, oh, well, that's a relationship that can work out.
In the modern era, if you're into Magic and your dad comes down to play, he's probably got all these old like Mox Emeralds and Black Lotuses.
Right, that's an appropriate situation.
But there's also the problem of the kid brain. Science shows below certain ages, like there's milestones of development in kids. Mm-hmm. We played a really good game of Hanabi with 2 pretty young kids at Anime Boston. Yeah. Not that long ago. And it was a fun game, but you know what? And they were smart. They did really well.
They were, smart kids compared to other kids. They were above average in smartness for kids their age.
They were still kids. Some kids just aren't at the level yet where they understand what a role-playing game even is. Like, they just don't get it.
Yep.
So the age difference will limit the amount of complexity you can
grab a board game. What does it say on the side? Ages X and up. Ages X to X, right? If you are in a different age range, different games might just be skill level far away from you. Or because of your age, you just can't have a skill level any higher, right? You'll see some prodigies, of course, right? But you go to a Netrunner tournament, no one there is under 20-something.
Everyone's between the ages of 25 and 35.
Right. At the World Championships, there was like one kid in like Tiago, and he was a legend, right? It's a complicated game that like a kid, even a high school kid, would have a hard time, playing Netrunner seriously because it's not an easy game.
Age is a factor in
at chess tournaments. They have age groups, right? The 8-year-old doesn't get to play against the grandmasters and whatever.
Now, age is a factor, but similar to, or at least related to age, is the social set of the person. I mean, when I play games with my adult friends, we say fuck a lot. But a lot, the game itself is one thing, but you have to get along with the people you're playing games with, even though most of you out there... It's so easy for us to fall into our the way we do panels when we get into this format.
Whatever.
I'm even pointing at the monitor.
You're the only one doing that.
Yeah, but you're speaking the same way you speak on a panel instead of what we do on the show. It's funny.
I have slides.
Yeah, I have slides too. I'm looking at them. They're all blank.
Get some pictures. These aren't easy to get pictures for.
I got some good pictures. Actually, I want to add a slide about obligation.
Okay.
But anyway, so I can't say fuck all the time if I'm playing a game with like a bunch of 8-year-olds from the neighbor family.
Or maybe you found some people near you and you have the same interesting games. It's going to work out.
But they're really Republican, or they're really
they're
religious,
just,
and they're a different religion from you, and it's an issue for all of you.
Right, or they're just really prudish, right? And you're really loose, and it's like
you're playing El Grande, and you make a joke about how the king looks like a penis, and they're like,
at your game night, you're all drinking and smoking weed, and at their game night, they're all like,
that's
or vice versa. You're all, and you go to a game night somewhere, you walk in, and you smell the weed smoke and there's brownies and whatnot, and it's like, oh, you're getting out of there.
But the trouble is that a lot of gamers are desperate. We know they're desperate. Read any forum. Go around this convention. You'll see the desperate people. Some of you might be the desperate people. I've been desperate at many points in my life.
I'm often desperate.
You'll play games with people that outside of the context of that specific game, you probably find abhorrent. Either socially, politically, culturally. You might have literally nothing to say to someone, but yet gamers the world over will play games with those people.
If they're really desperate.
If they're desperate, which a lot of people are.
Right. Okay, so regardless of those factors, right, those people near you, they fit all those requirements. They might just be hiding. There are a lot of people out there who are just hiding. They're not looking for you. They're not looking to be found. They're playing games. They're into them. You're into them.
They're really into them, maybe.
Yeah. They're just not looking for anyone. Why? Because they got theirs.
And here's how you find out. Go look at a list of Counter-Strike servers. Notice all those servers that are locked that you need a password to get into. Notice how a lot of them are full.
Yep.
How many D&D groups are open invite? How many open invite D&D groups go well?
Yeah, they've got a D&D group. They've already got the GM and 4 players. They're not advertising, looking for more players. They're not, doing it. They're just hiding. They're meeting regularly in their house. You don't know them. They don't know you. They could be your next door fucking neighbors, right? You could be into D&D as much as they would, but you don't know them. They don't know you. And that's the end of that. They're not looking. And when you post looking, they're not responding.
Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. I mean, for example, I run a game night like every other week in our apartment. Actually, we have 2 alternating sets of game nights. Never going to publicly post that because I don't want a bunch of strangers showing up. I personally invite individual people and we hang out. And that's what we do. I think most of you are not super comfortable putting an ad on Craigslist saying, hey, you want to come play board games at my house? Here's the address.
Right.
Door will be open.
You're super comfortable saying, hey, is there anyone out there who wants to play games or has a D&D or whatever? But no one's going to respond to that if they've already got one. So none of those people, even though they're there, it is ridiculously difficult to find them. The only way to find them would be to happenstance meet them and befriend them in another social context. And then discover that their game exists and then befriend them enough to which they would invite you or you could invite them into a gaming situation that would grow over time. And that's not easy.
You have all seen this happen. You go to some gaming meetup and everyone's there kind of playing their games. Games are going well or badly or whatever. But then you see a new person shows up and everyone kind of talks to them and gets them to play games to kind of get a sense of if they're creepy or not, if they're good at games or not, if they like the same kind of games. And if some people really hit it off, you'll see people sort of try to invite them to their private gaming group. Like, hey, you should come to my apartment sometime. We play games. Those invitations are often said very quietly, far away from the main group of gamers.
Yep.
Nobody is super public about that. In fact, a lot of people will pointedly talk to someone after the event saying, hey, you should come to my game group, because they didn't want that guy to overhear.
Right. Now, we're not going to discuss, everything that needs to be said about that guy. You all know that guy. That's all that needs to be said, right? Has been said already. But it's not so much the concerns directly of you being that guy or how to deal with that guy when he's around. It's more the fact that the guy exists in the first place, even if he doesn't physically exist. Maybe you're lucky and you live in a town with no that guys in it.
It's possible.
The simple fact is that that guy exists somewhere on Earth. People know that guy and are afraid of that guy, or at least the phantom of that guy. And thus, they will behave in a certain way to avoid any possibility of that guy.
It's like trying to think of a funny example.
No, just merely the fear of this person possibly existing.
It's Mario Party. I know the stars exist.
Right, affects all the behavior of all the normal people, and their behavior will not change until not only are all those guys gone, but no one has any fear of that guy possibly being there.
Now that guy,
that day will not come in my lifetime.
I mean, you could treat this like it's a game, and that guy is a event that's moving around on the board. You've seen the scenario. You're at a con. You want to play Puerto Rico. It takes up to 5 players. You've got 3 people who are really into it. You yell out, "Hey, anyone want to play Puerto Rico?" 2 people walk up. You all give each other the look because you know that one of those people seems okay, and one of them is so obviously that guy, you really don't want them to join their game because you're sure either they're going to be that guy in the creepy, possibly misogynistic, all the things.
Bad odor, bad something.
Or it might be the relative that guy, as in he's that guy to your group. If you're the super serious gamers and it's obvious that it's a guy who isn't he's not going to take the game seriously. He's not going to get the game.
Someone who's going to be slow. Even it could be something as simple as someone who's going to be slow on their turn, or will be hard to explain the rules to, or is just not someone who on their own. It only takes one bad egg to spoil the whole omelet, right?
Yep. Because if you get stuck in a game, Puerto Rico, especially at a convention where you're teaching some rules, that's a 2-hour commitment. If that's a 2-hour commitment and someone ruins the game, it is really bad culture. It's not part of the etiquette of gaming to walk away from a game. You're fucked.
I might just start walking away from a game.
I've thought about making that. I sort of think that maybe part of the reason that guy is enabled is that gaming culture, especially tabletop and convention culture, makes it very difficult to politely turn that guy down. Like if that guy wants to join your game, it's sort of seen as very not cool to be like, sorry, we're gonna take this game super seriously. I know you're not really into these like really hardcore games. But if you said that, the minor hurt feelings will at least be mitigated by the honesty, and then everyone has a better time. Because that guy's not having any fun in your super hardcore game either.
Maybe, or maybe he's just so desperate he is, right? Who knows? Anyway.
But as a result, it's people try to like trick that guy into not joining the game. Like, oh, sorry, the game's full. But it says clearly on the box that the game takes up to 5. Yeah, our friend Steve is coming in a minute. We're just waiting for him. And then you see the guy like hovering around, like waiting for Steve to show up.
These are things that literally happen.
Yes, every one of these things has actually happened to us.
Yes. All right, so one more thing that can get in the way of finding gamers to play games with is simply life. I'm running a Torchbearer game, right? I found people that I know, that I can trust, that are awesome at Torchbearer. They're all 100% not that guy. Everyone's awesome. Everyone's really into it. Everyone really wants to play. They at least said that they really liked the game when I ran it. They could be lying. Who knows? I wish they wouldn't lie, because if I'm doing something wrong, I want to know. And we're playing it on Google Hangouts, so that solves a lot of our problems, right? What happened?
Yeah, look, you've solved geography, you've solved time zones, you've solved language, you're already friends.
Right. What happened? Well, we played a couple sessions, and now people's lives are getting in the way. Someone's got jobs, changing schedules. Someone's,
Well, here, look at this week. Monday, I had an impromptu meeting to consult with someone about an article they're writing, so me and Emily had dinner with them. So that killed Monday. Tuesday, we're doing Geeknights.
Yep.
And then we're finishing work for the panel. Wednesday, tomorrow, normally is our weekly game night. But now, because suddenly I have to fly to Paris on Saturday, I got to get some shit together.
Yep.
So I got to cancel that game night. Thursday, we're doing Geek Nights again.
Right. People have lives, and their lives... it doesn't matter who you are, how highly you prioritize gaming in general. I mean, maybe you are a guy who plays StarCraft, and that is your thing. You're pro at StarCraft. Like, that's your thing, right? You're going to prioritize something such as, I don't know, your brother's wedding as more important than a StarCraft tournament.
Well.
I would hope so. Otherwise, you're that guy, right?
Well, it depends, Scott. Say someone we knew scheduled their wedding at the same time as PAX Prime.
They're getting married at PAX Prime, right?
Surprisingly, they're not.
Okay. Why not?
I really don't understand why, but somehow they decided to get married in, like, I don't know, Chicago at the same time as PAX Prime.
Well, is PAX Prime moving to Chicago?
Maybe, but not this year.
Why not?
Say your actual brother got married. He announced the wedding. It's all set up, and it was literally the weekend of PAX Prime next year.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It is tough.
Right.
But there is a time
But the
and a
point
place.
is that these conflicts happen, and when you have a gaming group, right, every person you have, you're multiplying those difficulties, right? So how often does some shit come up in your life, and you have a gaming group of 5 people, 5 times as much shit comes up, and anytime one of those shits happens, the game is canceled.
So is the moral not only one person in a gaming group is allowed to have a life? Because then everyone else is always going to show up whenever that person's available.
Sure.
That's the way to do it. Make friends with losers.
Yeah.
There is actually a time and place where schedules and lives and priority are literally not a concern. That happened to us. That's the only reason we
College.
Yes, college. If one, you prioritize gaming above classes.
Yes.
Like, I'm not even joking. Not saying you should do this either.
We did it.
Yes, but
Battletech, 2 a.m.
oh my God. We would skip class to play Counter-Strike with our friends. We would skip class, skip labs, drop classes to show up at the gaming clubs and play games. We played German board games.
You got a
pretty much.
W in a class so you could go to anime club.
I literally dropped out of a class so I could go to the anime club. I dropped another class so I wouldn't miss an L5R game that I joined after the class started. We played games every goddamn day. Video games, board games, everything. Every day, every weekend. That was our lives.
At a nerd school. If we were not at a nerd school, which again, incredibly privileged to be able to afford to go to the nerd school and to be well educated enough to get accepted to the nerd school.
And to be smart enough to somehow graduate without ever fucking going to class.
Right.
And even then, in that group.
If you go to like state school, how many nerds are going to be there? How often is the gaming club going to meet? How many people will be there? How many
RIT, there were like 150 to 200 people from a pool that would show up to the gaming club. And of them, like 100 would show up every fucking
This is
week.
at a school that's consisted of thousands of nerds. You get, tens of people at the gaming club.
Granted, there were other not technically official gaming clubs that also spawned up because
the hidden gamer we
they were
already
hiding
talked about.
from that guy.
Right. So anyway, so what do you do about this, right?
Go to college, never leave.
Well, I mean, we've talked about all these reasons that you can't find another gamer. They're just not out there, right? They're all the things we've discussed. So
Well, you know what? I think there's two sides. There's what can you do about it, and what can gaming and the community do about it.
Right. So what can you do about it? All I can tell you is either go to college or move to a city, a real city, not a joke city.
You have to move to a real city or a college town that has to be a big enough college to attract enough people.
And a nerdy college.
Yes.
Right?
I won't name the name of the college, but when I was living in Poughkeepsie, I was bored, wanted to find a gaming group, and I found a gaming club at a local college that was open invite. So I thought I'd go to it. I went to it. That's where I learned that this club was also the anime club and the witchcraft/Wicca club and the science fiction club that had like 5 members.
Because there are so few nerds there.
And I never went back.
Right.
I looked in the door and I was like, nope.
If you live in a city, a major city. So consider this. I live in New York City, the majorest of cities in the world.
New Rome.
Capital of Earth. Okay? And when we play Netrunner on Tuesday nights, there's maybe 20 people tops. We go to the tournament, 20-something people. But apparently we just discovered that there's another secret hiding group of Netrunners in Brooklyn at some NYU thing. So there's probably more like 40-something people. Yeah, there's like maybe 50 to 60 total serious Netrunner people that are in the community in all of New York City. Millions upon millions and millions of people.
We'll go to game meetups. So
if you're not in New York City, how many less people are there than that? Some guy told me he went out to Long Island to play, and he won a tournament where there are only like 6 people. That's so close to where we are.
Hopefully
right?
It's not also a combination for you of dead or dying game.
No, it's not. Right?
Static game, all the people who started playing are the only ones who are still playing?
No, we get new people.
Nah?
But I'm saying it's like, so if you're into Magic, right, it's like you can find people. That game is a worldwide game, right?
Oh my God, at PAX Australia,
There's a bunch of gaming...
half the tabletop was just people playing Magic.
There's a bunch of gaming meetups in New York City, right? But, okay, New York City is 4 times the size of pretty much any other city. So you go to, say, Boston, there's 25% of the gaming that's in New York is in Boston.
Boston, I think, is way smaller than 4 times.
But they have nerds there at MIT and such. That gives them a boost.
No, yeah, a higher
because it's a
percentage.
nerd town, right?
Yep,
like
super nerd
San
town.
Francisco, Seattle get boosts because of nerd town. Okay, go to I don't know, Kansas City. There's some nerds there in Kansas City. It's somewhat of a real city. They even have a professional, sporting teams. They have Google Internet, which brought some nerds into town. But there's probably like less than a quarter of the gaming going on there as there is in New York, right? Just because of population.
Now, there's also the weird side of like New York City actually has some problems that make some aspects of gaming way harder. So it even gets hard on the upper end. You go to like Toronto, there's a bunch of board game cafes.
There's one in New York now.
Yeah, there's one in New York.
I thought there's only one in Toronto, Snakes and Lattes.
I heard that there's 2 more.
I haven't heard that.
That's what I was told when I was there. People told me, oh, you should visit this other place.
Okay. Whatever. Okay, so something else that we can all do, have more conventions. Why is there just, a few PAXs, right? And I guess crappy Gen Con and a couple other tiny
aspects
Kineticon.
of Dragon Con.
Right.
Aspects of Kineticon. A lot of cons
Board game
have gaming.
Con. Right? And, there's a significant number of cons, but there's way more anime cons than gaming cons. There are tiny anime cons freaking all over the place.
And those tiny anime cons grow huge really quick.
Yeah, there's thousands of people at those things.
I mean, Zenkai Con, we laugh like it's a small con. It's actually pretty fucking big now.
There's thousands of people at
Yeah.
it. Right, and it's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's like...
I'd never heard of Lancaster before.
I've heard of it, but it's like that's even less than Kansas City. That's a small place, but thousands of little nerds show up for that anime con. So why can't there be as many gaming cons as there are anime cons? There should be one wherever you live. There should be one a month within
Scott,
driving distance.
In a sense,
There should be.
There are tons of gaming cons, but this is con culture. The gaming cons that are like PAX and MagFest have a almost completely separate culture from what traditionally was considered a gaming con. I mean, as a kid, there were like 9 conventions within a short drive of my house in Michigan. And I went to a bunch of them. You know what? They were all under 1,000 people. And they were all the old school pay for tickets to individual
So
events.
they're UberCon.
Yeah, they were like UberCons.
Right.
Or the all those other little gaming cons around New York City. Like they're there, but they have such a different culture that for whatever reason they can't really grow. And the few that do grow tend to run into a lot of problems and have a lot of internal drama, just like gaming groups do, huh?
Yeah, so, if we want more gaming, I think more conventions would just help a lot. And then finally, just at least for us in the U.S. here in Canada, right? We need better internets, right? It's like we already have someone far away, there's going to be latency no matter what. But if our internet was just better, there's a lot of games that I should be able to play with someone, and we both have money, we both have good computers, but the internet just sucks and we can't buy better internet.
Or the internet just can't do things yet. Like, we don't have augmented reality to where we both have a physical-esque copy of a board game in front of us and are playing remotely with holograms.
Nope.
Someday that'll happen.
But we need to we just need to fix internet in the U.S. to where, we can get Google fiber everywhere, or, ISPs stop screwing everyone over.
And little things like automatic translation, generic places for games. There's lots of stuff that could happen there.
Sure. I guess the last thing that you can do to find gamers in this desperate situation is simply to change who you are, or at least something about yourself, right? Maybe you really want to play an RPG and you're a D&D person. That's what you're into. And the people near you are into Pathfinder. And it's like, well, just become a Pathfinder person. It's not that different, right? Just, you're outvoted, right? Would you rather play Pathfinder, which is really similar to what you already want to do, right? Even though it's not exactly what you'd like to do, or would you rather stay home and play nothing?
And if you don't play Pathfinder, then it'll be really hard to convince those people to switch to D&D.
Right.
But if you play with them, I mean, I've seen there's a lot of commentary with indie RPGs. Someone will join a D&D group and then over the years be like, hey, why don't we try this indie RPG? You can actually groom other people to be into the games you're into.
You play League of Legends, your friend is into Dota, just play Dota, right? It's just go, it's not that different. Would you rather play Dota with your friend, or would you rather play League of Legends alone and him play Dota alone? Right?
Just play Team Fortress 2. It's not that different from Team Fortress 1.
Right? You can't change anyone
Except
else.
it is.
You can only change yourself. So don't, you're not going to be, if the other person's stubborn, just give up on that. Just be the unstubborn person, and more gaming will happen, right? You know, if you play Call of Duty, your friend plays Counter-Strike, just play Counter-Strike.
But if you try to bludgeon other people over the head, like you've got to play this other game instead,
it's not gonna work.
You become that guy to them.
If you're super serious, like, you know, about playing to win, right? And the other people are just sort of like la la la, and they don't care, and that's all you've got to play with. Just change your attitude, right?
Or be super fun and sociable and do all the social stuff, but still just fucking win. Just be the guy who always fucking wins, but doesn't make a big deal about it. It's like, I won again. Oh, Rym always wins.
Yep. Yeah, just change yourself so that you can make the whatever situation you've got work, right? You don't have a lot to work with, right? So whatever you've got, make the most of it.
But at the same time, don't misinterpret someone not wanting to play a game with you for hating you.
Because they probably hate you.
Yeah, they probably do. But I don't think we want that moral to be in the actual PAX panel.
No.
But think of it this way. Would you invite this person into your house? Barely knowing them?
Would you? Are you a person that people want to invite into their home?
Yup.
Be a person that you would want to invite into your home.
Dude, does every group evaporate the moment you try to join it? That's more back to that guy.
You shouldn't, yeah.
All right, that's all. Anyone want to ask a question? I guess they can't.
No.
I don't know if you have any comments on this. Bear in mind that
we barely did meta moment.
Yeah, we a little bit. Basically, if you ask us questions about what we talked about or have anything interesting to add, anecdotes, whatever, we
got some time before PAX. We can edit this panel.
Guys, the secret to our panels is that we have a list of slides because those are just the main points. We make it up. Every time we do a panel is different because we just know what we're going to talk about. That's it. So if you tell us something cool, we might incorporate it into the panel.
Maybe.
Hopefully, I just imagine this. People will tell us their stuff, and everything they tell us becomes the anecdotes of what not to do.
The anecdote of that guy. We're not doing that panel.
No, we're not. That panel. There's a topic for an anime con. Let's just do that panel. This has been Geeknights with Rym and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
Yamishiba.